Joining us to discuss is Jonathan Hullihan, President and General Counsel of Remnant Law. So, Jonathan, good afternoon. The church's pastor said protesters refused to leave when asked. Was it within the demonstrators' free speech rights to protest inside the church and interrupt Sunday service?
Absolutely not. This is far outside First Amendment protected speech. Shocks the conscience, frankly. I mean, they're trespassers. They go in, they intentionally use force to force themselves through the church. They intimidate the pastor. This is not protected speech under any form or fashion. And I think the DOJ is well within its rights and should be investigating this. Not only those that went inside the church and intimidated the congregation and the pastor, but also the network. I mean, clearly, this is a network, a conspiracy where these are organized. You've seen all these tactics across Minnesota and frankly, across the United States, where these aggressive tactics to quell other opinions, to stop and intimidate and coerce is nationwide. So they have to stop this kind of bad behavior right now before it gets out of hand and spreads to other churches.
Okay, Jonathan, can you explain for us clearly what does the Constitution exactly protect when it comes to demonstrating, and what does it not protect in this context where places of worship are involved?
Well, I mean, typically a traditional public forum, a sidewalk, another place where you could protest. It's not private property. Although a church opens its doors to everyone, it's not a place to protest against the pastor and disrupt services. So it's not that protected forum that you'd see, even a limited traditional forum like in a school board meeting or whatnot, where folks are invited in to speak. This is beyond the bounds of protected speech, especially attempting to incite violence, to really disrupt the church services. It's far beyond the pale, and that's why those statutes exist. I mean, Congress passed the FACE Act, other statutes, conspiracy against rights, that recognizes that kind of behavior to intimidate, coerce, or use force is not protected speech under the First Amendment.
Okay, so you mentioned the FACE Act. Could you help us understand that? Because the DOJ's Civil Rights Division said it's investigating this over potential violations of the FACE Act. What is it exactly, and what does it mean for them?
So the FACE Act was originally a statute passed by Congress in 1994 that was meant for, as they call it, reproductive clinics, abortion clinics, to stop protesters from using force to intimidate those seeking to receive an abortion. It has been extended to religious places of worship. So under that same kind of foundation, the same framework, the DOJ is investigating this activity, going into a religious service and disrupting it. You know, the irony here is the last administration really aggressively pursued FACE Act criminal charges against those that were protesting. Many of those were on traditional public forums, as we discussed, sidewalks. They were on the private property. They weren't on the private property, but on the sidewalks. They were away from the doors, and they still got prosecuted. These individuals went inside the church, into the sermon, and disrupted the pastor, really caused an intimidation across the board. I mean, that's their goal. I think in a lot of these is to intimidate free speech, intimidate those that would stand for the rule of law. It's beyond the pale in this country that these individuals would go into church services and stop church services because in their mind, your opinion doesn't matter. The church service doesn't matter. It's only what they think that matters. And that's not what the First Amendment is about. It's supposed to have protections in place for everybody to foster their own ideas, their own religious services, the free exercise of religion, and to disrupt that is not protected speech. So that's what the FACE Act aims to stop from disruptions like this in the religious services, the free exercise thereof.
Okay, final thing. What do you think, what could the charges be here potentially?
Well, I think they would, just from watching the videos and what I've seen on open source, I think you've got FACE Act violations. So they clearly disrupted. They used force. They intimidated the church services during the religious service. So at a minimum, they could face a year for each FACE Act violation. But I really think to get to the heart of this, I think the investigation should expand the scope. And I touched on this a while ago, but really a conspiracy against rights. So who is funding this activity? Who is organizing? Who is the C2, the command and control, the money behind all this that are getting these folks to go into religious services? I've got clients around the country that have attended conducting journalistic activities, and they're getting whistles blown in their ear, really beyond what free speech allows. It's inciting violence. They're trying to run them off any kind of counter protest or free speech in traditional public forums. So I think at the end of the day, the heart of this, it needs to get to who is organizing this, follow the money, find out who is behind this, and go after the C2, the command and control element that is really organizing these protests in religious services, and also going after ICE officers at their homes. All of these things are not protected speech when they're blowing amplifiers and music past municipal ordinance, the codes that restricts that activity, which is perfectly lawful to restrict some of that loud noise late at night. All of those things are not protected speech. So they really need to go after the command and control networks to get to the heart of this and stop it.
Yeah, I think FBI investigator or FBI Director Kash Patel said recently that they're investigating these protests in Minnesota. Perhaps this one specifically falls within that scope as well. Well, all right, Jonathan, thank you for your analysis today.
Thanks, Don. Appreciate it.